Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Welcome everybody. We are now ready for lesson 2. We talked about 3 kinds of words in the Arabic language, the ism, the fi'l, and the harf, and now we're ready to take our next step. We're going to dive deep into one of those, and I want to introduce you. Today's session is actually not even half the time it took for the last session, because I'm just introducing the notion to you and the framework to you. We're going to talk about the ism. The ism was the hardest definition, if you remember. Person, place, thing, idea, adjective, adverb, more. So much going on with an ism. Fi'l is easy. It's either past, present, or future. And harf is even easier. It doesn't make any sense, like your cousin. No, wait. Unless there's another word after it. Right? So those are the 3 categories. But ism is the hardest work. I like to think, for having taught Arabic for years and having studied it for years, if somebody's mastered ism, they've got most of the job done. I mean, if you're good at ism, then fi'l stuff is super easy. It's really the ism that's the hard part of the Arabic language, and that's why I want to tackle that first. I want to really get that out of the way so that we're sliding downhill the rest of the time when we're studying Arabic, okay? So today I want to give you a framework. Think of all of language, everything about Arabic. How do you break it down? You can break language down into meaningful sentences, which is this first category that's been placed here, right? So the first thing that happens is sentences. Then, if you think about sentences, like for example, this is a great class. Of course it is. Then that sentence can be broken up into smaller pieces. And sometimes pieces aren't just words. Sometimes they're words that come together, like your car or great class. Like sometimes 2-word combinations, 3-word combinations, like in the house. That's like one little tiny phrase. It's not quite a sentence, but it's more than just one word. It's a combination of words. I like to think of fragments as, more than a word, but still less than a sentence. So it's a smaller unit, right? It's made up of this. And if you break it down even further, then even a fragment would be made up of just words. And words there are only 3 kinds like you did yesterday. It's either the ism or the fi'l or the harf. That's where we were, like that, from the most basic unit of the language, an ism or a fi'l or a harf. But now we take it even a step further. And we're going to dive deeper into this guy, ism. Ism is, I want you to think of it like, I visualize it like the study of a car for a kindergartner. What do you need to understand about a car, kids? Well, it has 4 wheels. You can't have a car function without 4 wheels. We got to discover each of these wheels. By the time this study is done, and this portion of our learning is done, you're supposed to have mastered that anytime you see an ism, you should be able to tell me 4 things about it. I should be able to ask you, tell me 4 things about that ism. Now, what are those 4 things? I will ask you, even though this means nothing to you right now, I will ask you, what is the status of this ism? What is the gender of this ism? What is the number of this ism? What is the type of this ism? These words may not make too much sense to you right now, but this stuff needs to get in your head. An ism, you need to know 4 things about it. Status, number, gender, and type. And this, or rather, here it says status, gender, number, and type. And that's okay. This is somewhat the order we're going to follow when we study it. And the hardest of these is actually status, which seems weird. Like, what does that even mean? What's the status of this ism? Like, if you see, I ate an apple, I is a person, which means it's an ism. I'm going to ask you, what's the status of the word I? What's the number of the word I? What's the gender of the word I? What's the type of the word I? And right now, you may not have all those answers, and that's okay. Some of you might be guessing some of the answers. That's okay too. But we're going to walk you through, step by step, how do you get to a point where you can answer all 4 of those questions in English and in Arabic. Because this stuff needs to make sense to you, not just in Arabic. It needs to make sense to you in English too, because I want you to be capable of taking things you've learned here about Arabic and to be able to intelligently communicate that in the English language too. After all, your family, friends, other people you want to share some Quran with, they don't know Arabic and you can't stuff them into an Arabic class. That's your job. Your job is to bridge the gap between the Arabic language and eventually the Arabic of the Quran and the language that you speak around the house, and the language that you communicate with people with. And so we're constantly going to try to bridge between English and Arabic as we go through this course. Really, that's how you bridge the gap between Quran and translation for yourself, right? So what I want you to, as you leave this brief session, what I want you to think about is our next study isn't about language or sentences or fragments or words or the other two categories, harf or fi'l, that's a later problem. The only thing on our mind for the next few sessions, many sessions actually, is just the ism. We're just trying to figure out these 4 bricks, these 4 wheels to the car that make up the ism and make it what it is, right? And we're going to get good at analyzing it. Eventually I'll just open Quran for you and I'll point at a word and say, we're going to figure out 4 properties of this word. We're going to figure out the status, the gender, the number, and the type. So I'm excited to get that started. We'll again go with the hardest first. We're going to start with status, figure out what that thing is anyway. What the heck is status? How do you figure that out? And what does it mean? Why is it important? That's what we're going to discuss in the coming sessions, inshallah. All the best to you. My du'as are with you. Get some good sleep. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.